This is Mr. Mark, and in this video I'm going to show you how to find the break-even price for an item on eBay. And first of all, we'll look at a quick example to see why finding the break-even price is important. Let's say you buy an item for $100 and you decide to sell it for $120. Well, if you were selling it in person and someone was giving you $120 cash, of course your profit would be $20. However, on eBay, you have to pay fees, and being that you have to ship the item, you might have shipping costs as well. So, first of all, let's look at the fees. The PayPal fees are equal to the buyer's payment, which in this case would be $120 times 2.9% plus 30 cents, which would be $378. The eBay final value fee is equal to the buyer's payment multiplied by 10%. So it is 10% of the buyer's payment for most product categories. However, there are some where the percentage is different. But in this case, and in most cases, 10% would be the eBay fee, which would amount to $12 in this case. Then if you have a cost of shipping, in this case, let's say $8, then your total in fees and shipping would be the totality of these three numbers, which is $23.78. Which means you would actually lose money because you're being paid $120, but they're subtracting $23.78 in shipping, $23.78 in fees and shipping, which means in actuality you will only be paid $96.22 after having spent $100 to buy the item, right? So in this case, you actually would lose a few dollars. This is why it's important to determine the break-even. The break-even will show you the lowest price that you can price your item where you would make zero profit, and that way you know that you need to make the price of your item a little higher in order to get profit, or more, or much more higher, depending on how much profit you want to get. Now, to do this, we derive a eBay break-even formula, and basically you break even when the payment minus the fees and the other costs equals the original cost of the item. So in other words, to set it up mathematically, the original cost of the item must be equal to the payment you receive from the buyer minus the fees, which means the PayPal, eBay fees, your listing fee if you have to pay a listing fee, and you can add in any other fees that you have personally, minus whatever you have to pay to ship the item to the buyer. Now if you're not paying anything for shipping, well then this would just be zero. And then we set it up as a mathematical formula. The original cost is equal to the payment minus the payment times 2.9% minus the payment times 10%. So this is for the PayPal percentage. And this part, payment times 10%, this is for the eBay fee percentage, which is subtracted as well. Then the 30 cents, which is part of the PayPal fee. And then the listing fee, whatever your listing fee is, if you have a listing fee. And then shipping, if you pay to ship this item to the buyer. And you don't have to worry about all these mathematical details. I've already worked them out, but it's just good to see how it works, to see the actual proof of the mathematical formula. And so the cost equals the payment times, I was able to take this section, right? We can take this section, and for those of you who are math buffs, you'll get this. You take the payment, and this whole section is the equivalent of the payment times 1 minus 2.9% minus 10%. Will give you the same expression, payment minus payment times 2.9% minus payment times 10%. Right, so we can combine these three into this. Payment times 1 minus 2.9% minus 10%. Minus the 30 cents from up top, minus the listing fee from up top, and the shipping. Then, to actually derive a formula for the eBay break-even, you now have to solve for the payment. So you need to find out what would be the payment amount to make this happen, to make the original cost be equal to the payment after subtracting all of these fees. And so the payment equals the original cost plus the shipping plus the listing fee plus 0.30 divided by 1 minus 2.9% minus 10%. So I just basically reversed the formula and solved for the payment. So this formula will give you the break even. Now, let's look at an example. Let's say you buy an item for $100 and you plan to resell it on eBay. You will pay $8 to ship this item to the buyer. There is no listing fee. What is the break-even price for this item? Well, using the formula, you're going to find out what is the buyer payment. Okay, what payment you will receive from the buyer. Because remember, it is the payment that determines the fees that will allow you to break even. And you substitute each part of the formula. The original cost is $100. The shipping is $8. The listing fee is $0. There is no listing fee. Let's say you get your first 50 listings free. Now, if you do have a listing fee here, then you would have to add in the listing fee. All right, my listing fee is 0 right now, so I just left that out. Plus 0.30 divided by 1 minus, and sorry, I left out the rest of this down here. This should have been 1 minus 2.9% minus 10%. So that should have been down here as well. And so that would give you $108.30 divided by 0.871. If you work it out with the calculator, you will get $124.34. So that would be the break even. So that is the lowest you could charge in this case for the item, the lowest price. And or you could see it as the lowest payment you could receive, and that would allow you to break even. You would get 0 profit, but you would not lose any money. So you won't lose or you won't gain. So in other words, you need to price your item at more than this price in order to earn some kind of profit. Okay, now I do have a slide here in the fees, which you can always use as reference later. But what I'll do is I'll take you on to my spreadsheet. And on this spreadsheet, so don't worry, I mean, the good thing is that although you do have that mathematical formula, which might seem like a bit much, using this Google sheet that I created, which you can also download to Excel, it will pretty much do the calculation for you. So for instance, if the original cost of the item is $100, we'll stick the same numbers in. You then put the eBay final value fee. Now I left this blank because although it is usually 10%, there are some item categories where it is not 10%. So you can put the 10% for the final value fee. Listing fee, again, I'm going to put 0 for the listing fee. And the cost to ship to buyer, I will put 8. And as you can see, the break even is $124.34. So this will help you very much, because if you're not able to sell an item, for instance, and you need to lower the price of the item, now you know how low you can go. And even if you need to just make the price $1 over the break even, sometimes that might be enough just to get the item to sell, right? But at least you won't be losing money. So you definitely want to know what your exact break even price is so that you can price your items slightly higher when you're trying to get rid of them, right? Or you can price them much higher if you're trying to get more of a profit. It just all depends on the situation. So you'll find the Google Sheet is shared. The Google Sheet for this that does this calculation that I'm using right now will be shared in the description of this video. And also stay tuned if you want. You can go to my site. You can subscribe on my site, which is linked in the description of this video as well, mrmarkteach.com, if you want to be on my mailing list. And basically, by being on that list, I will notify you when I release new videos, or if I update something or make any new discoveries or spreadsheets that I create or any other methods. I will notify you when those are available. And if you found this video to be helpful, feel free to hit like. If you haven't already subscribed to this channel, feel free to subscribe. And thanks for watching.